Well, summer is here, and many of us are excited about life starting to get back to normal and thinking about taking summer vacation. One of the big unknowns is what will it take to get on an international flight and where can you visit? Well, to talk about that specifically, and all of you who are thinking of possibly taking a trip to Europe, I'm excited to be joined now by Luís. And Luís, forgive me if I butcher your last name, Luís Araújo. I hope I said that right. Luís Araújo is the president of the European Travel Commission. It's a position he was elected to lead during a crucial moment for global tourism. The Commission represents 33 countries and is currently focused on helping Europe's tourism industry recover from the pandemic. I'm excited to have him join. Hi.
Hello, Jessica.
How are you?
Very good. How are you?
I'm well. Thank you for joining us. How do I say your last name correctly?
Well, it's Araújo.
Araújo.
It's a challenge.
One more time.
Araújo.
Araújo.
Yes, perfect. Now it's beautiful.
Thank you.
How are you?
I am well, and I'm grateful for you joining us. I think it's evening your time right now.
It's we're about to have dinner in an hour.
Okay.
So it's almost night.
Almost the end of your Friday. You're speaking to an audience primarily in the US. Would you just give us a little sense, what are the conditions in Europe right now vis-a-vis the pandemic?
Well, right now things in Europe are quite stable. We've been able to control the pandemic and the spreading in almost every European country. We're seeing dramatic drops in contaminations. We're seeing quite successful policies in controlling the health system, which is also crucial for this situation. And of course, the vaccination process is rolling very quickly across Europe. So we have roughly 50% of people vaccinated, of adults vaccinated, and we intend to have 70% by the end of July. So I would say that we're seeing a wonderful and very much brighter light at the end of the tunnel, that's for sure.
There's still some challenge. So what should Americans expect when they're visiting Europe this summer? Does it really depend? It's country specific.
Yeah, well, I think what I can say is that Europe is completely open. You have different situations in different countries, that's for sure, and different rules, different protocols that you have to comply with when you are in certain countries. For sure, you will have to wear masks still. Some countries are already allowing tourists and people not to use masks, especially in the streets, but you still have to use masks inside the museums, in restaurants, when visiting other facilities, inside hotels, not at the beach, that's for sure. But there are different rules. So what we recommend is for people to look either on the national websites or at the Reopen EU app, what kind of protocols and procedures each one has to implement in each place. But I would say that they're very clear. They're applicable not only to nationals, but also to international tourists. And they're very simple. And there has been an increased number of countries who are facilitating these procedures in each country. So I would say that there has been a big effort in offering still the best experience and a seamless experience, which is something that we're very interested in.
So can we get specific? Which are the countries that are sort of the most open right now? I believe that Greece and Croatia and Iceland have dismantled barriers to entry. Italy is somewhere in between. France is a different story. Give us a couple countries.
Well, I would have to say that rules change every week. It's crazy. Even for us, it's difficult to follow all these situations. But I would say that Greece, as you said, is opening. Croatia, Spain is also opening. Portugal is opening to the US to vaccinated people. I would say that the most common request, and this is something that the European Union, even the Commission, has recommended for every country, to allow the entrance of vaccinated people in their own territories without testing, without nothing. This is still being implemented for sure, but hopefully in a few weeks, we will have this all across Europe. But I would say the countries you mentioned, France is also opening.
What does that mean?
It means that if you have been vaccinated with the two jabs, if you have a certificate or if you have a card that says that you are vaccinated, you will be controlled at the departure gates if you have it, and then you would easily enter any country. This is the purpose of the green certificate. Even inside the European Union, we will have it also to move from one country to the other. We think this is the best way in order to have what we say, which we're shifting from considering risky countries to risky persons. So not applying the same rule to everyone inside the country, but to different people. So if you're vaccinated and or you have an immunity test, or you have certain tests like PCRs or antigen tests, you will be allowed to enter. But I recommend that for each country, you would see exactly which rules apply to each country.
I'll come back to that in a moment, but the basic gist is if you have your vaccination card, in many cases, you still have to prove a negative COVID test in addition to that. You have to really pay attention to those rules. I know that in Paris, there's still a nighttime curfew. I think they changed it from 9 to 11 this week.
Yes.
Of how tourists are changing rules and conditions and how that creates a marketing challenge for you guys or what you're trying to let the world know as they think of entering Europe.
Well, I think it's more a communication challenge, that's for sure, because even for locals, it's difficult. I'm sure it's difficult for everyone to understand the rules because they change according to the situation in a certain country. And as you very well stated, things are changing. You gave the example of France. Spain is opening also, like bars and some other facilities. Portugal, restaurants were open until 10:30. Now they're open until 1 o'clock in the morning. So things are going back to normal. I think the biggest challenge is giving clear communication to those who travel before departing and when they are inside the country. That's why we always recommend to visit the National Tourism Authorities websites, because they're the most accurate and updated information you can get. I think that's really important.
Can you give us a sense how many countries are open without a quarantine if you are vaccinated and you do prove a negative COVID test?
I think now it's going very clear that the majority of countries don't have quarantines, except if you come from a very risky country. Still, we divide the classification of these countries inside Europe in green until dark red. We don't have almost any country in dark red. So dark red would mean a country that requests for quarantine, and we wouldn't request a quarantine to the US because of, as I told you, the vaccination process, as well as the control of the pandemic in your country too.
So I recall that in the spring of 2020, Italy was ground zero for the spread of COVID. I understand there are now COVID tested flights for passengers from the US, so that they have a quarantine rule in place, but if you go on one of these COVID safe flights, you can get right in. Can you explain that? And is that going through all summer, or do you know when that goes away?
It's a system, as I told you, our biggest concern is that these requirements are waived according to the situation in each country. This is a very good example that you said about a specific flight that you can enter immediately and you don't need to quarantine because you're tested. You're not a risky person. Our biggest concern right now is that this kind of situations, week by week, and with the situation improving in every country, these things will be waived. So we won't have the need to do this. But once again, this depends on each government from each country. So it's very important to check the rules of each country to understand this.
Are you encouraging people to take up different kinds of activities when they're in Europe? So are you encouraging sort of collectively hiking or biking as opposed to only going to restaurants? How should we think about being COVID safe while we're there?
Well, I think that's one of the great lessons and one of the great examples that we had across Europe. As you know, the European Travel Commission, we gather the NTOs, the National Tourism Offices of more than 30 countries. And there has been a huge concern, not only from the public sector, but the private, to be prepared for the new needs of the customers. And you saw from hotels to restaurants preparing themselves, even doing renovations to accommodate those needs, training their staff. I'll give you an example. In Portugal, we trained more than 80,000 people. And most important, some of them even implemented specific protocols of safety and security in each of their establishments. So this is very important to say. We're prepared. Each establishment, each hotel, each local lodging is prepared to welcome safely, because we understand one thing. It's a matter of responsibility. It's our responsibility to prevent this in our country. And it's our responsibility also to pass the message for anyone who comes to understand the rules and how to behave, because it's really important to us that you have the most wonderful experience and you go back to your country safe and sound. So this is crucial.
What would you advise we pack when I assume we always need your passport, but now you should bring, I guess, masks and your vaccine card.
Masks, vaccine card, sunblock. It's very important during this period. I would say the usual things that you use in your country. It's exactly the same. There's no need. That's something that we've always stated. COVID has no nationality. And it doesn't matter where you come from, you have to comply with the rules. And we all know which they are. And it's very simple. If you get here, you will see the lettering, the signing, all in English, in every country, in each restaurant, what you can do. When you enter the airport, some countries even give you a leaflet to understand what they do in their countries. So I would say that those are the rules.
And what happens if you are exiting and you test positive for COVID on your exit? You can't re-enter.
Well, I would say it's the same thing as any country. If you test positive, wherever you are, you will have to go back to your hotel or to your house and stay for a minimum period of time. What I do know, and I had that experience in several countries, and we've tested that, is that every country is prepared to answer your questions. Every national health system is prepared. If you call them, they will speak in English. They will tell you exactly what you have to do. And this is something that you will have all across Europe, which is crucial. Once again, communication is vital right now.
We know that the tourism industry took a massive hit during 2020. What are you seeing now? Is it coming back at a boom rate, or is it slowly emerging?
What we see, there is a big demand from people, a need of people to travel. We see a lot of interest for people traveling inside Europe. ETC has made a survey. We have more than 50% of the surveyed that said they want to travel this summer, and they will travel this summer. And half of those said they would go to a different country. This is quite easy in Europe. You can move from one place to the other. The road system works perfectly. Air connectivity is coming back, especially between European countries. Not so much as long-haul destinations. Hopefully we will have that restored very soon. But I would say that things are getting much, much better. Our biggest aim right now is, of course, summer, especially for the southern European countries. But we think, and that's the beauty of Europe, you can visit Europe during summer, but the autumn and winter in our cities, in very close, especially at the seaside, is incredible. So that's our biggest goal, is showcasing Europe as a 365-day-year destination.
One of the issues in the US is that we're experiencing a lot of inflation, and airline prices are gone up and hotel prices. But quite have the same inflation yet.
Not yet, not yet. We don't feel that yet. In some cases, you even saw some prices dropping. Others with much higher prices, particularly very niche projects like small hotels, boutique hotels, wine tourism properties across Europe that have seen a raise on prices. But I can assure you that it's worth paying because that's the good thing of Europe, is that you can be in 3 or 4 countries, and if you're a wine lover, 3 or 4 neighbor countries, and you will have wine everywhere. Because I think every country in Europe is a wine producer, so it's very simple to do that.
Last question. While many people are planning to go to Europe this summer, some not because of finances or anxiety, whatever the concerns are now. What kind of virtual options are there for people who want to explore Europe from the comfort of home?
Well, once again, I would go with the National Tourism Office's websites. The Visit Europe website has also a lot of information that you can prepare yourself with. But I would recommend traveling. We need mobility. It's part of our nature. We can't be human beings as a whole if we don't travel, if we don't meet other people, if we don't understand other cultures, if we're not moving freely inside a place. And that's something that we say to Europeans, to Americans, to everyone. This is the time to travel. People are much more eager to welcome other citizens from other countries right now than they were 2 years ago. And I think this is very important. And it's very emotional to go to one place and see how welcomed you are and how well you're received.
Luís, thank you so much for your time. People can find more at visit_Europe, yes?
Exactly.
And what was the website you told us to, what was the tourism website?
Reopen EU is the website from the European Commission, where you will have all the regulations and all the requirements to enter each country. And then I would recommend every visit something. Visit Spain, visit Portugal, visit France, visit Greece, because they have the information, official information, and please check the official websites from these places. They will have the right information to give to each person.
Great. Thanks so much. Hope you have a fabulous dinner.
Thank you, Jessica. I'm going to have dinner by the beach.
I'm jealous.
Okay, but thank you. Hope you will all come. See you soon.
See you soon.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.